Why the heck is pacing ourselves so freaking hard? Let's look into that. When you think about it, meCFS is crazy frustrating because it literally has these ridiculous symptoms that cause learning to pace yourself to be almost impossible.
What? What do you mean?
For instance, it can take up to 2 days, 48 hours, for your symptoms to start to appear from overdoing it. 48 hours later. I'm sorry, what other disease or illness does that? Seriously.
That's messed up.
It's just not natural. Also, symptoms can literally last for months, even years if you get bad enough. And that's after stopping your bad behavior and you're doing everything correctly.
Can't live this way anymore.
So seriously, that makes it take forever to even be able to know if you're doing your pacing efficiently. What the heck?
How can they live?
Not to mention the complete and utter unfairness of the little things that are just completely out of your control.
Everything's out of control.
Even when you're doing everything right. Things like the weather changing, allergies, sensitivity to things like chemicals and perfumes that your neighbors might love and cherish, sensitivities to foods, and these sensitivities to foods can cause inflammation and nutrient absorption problems that you didn't have before that you now have to deal with. The amount of sleep your roommate allowed you to get that day, basic stress. The list goes on. Now hold the phone. Ooh, that aged me.
How could I?
It's that you're old, but it's okay.
I know pacing might seem impossible right now. And trust me, it's been hard for me too lately, as many of you know. By the way, thank you guys so much for all of your support while I've been out the last 4 months. You have no idea how much you helped me. Thank you.
Anyway, enough about me.
I know I wanted to share some of the tactics that have helped me the most with my pacing. And you all know, of course, I still crash fairly often, so these aren't foolproof. But I'm also very, very, very far gone in my severeness.
It's too late for me, but save yourselves!
So if you're not as severe as I am, these probably will help you a lot more than I wish I had been doing a lot of these much earlier. I may have never gotten this bad. But luckily, because of these tactics, even though I am severe, I am actually now able to anticipate my crashes about 95% of the time before they happen. So I'm kind of planning my crashes in a weird way. And having them not be a surprise is always helpful. Always.
How can I live?
So the first big step in pacing that finally helped me stop being in a years-long crash, first, I did heart rate monitoring. Check out this video for that. When I first started heart rate monitoring, I was really shocked at what actually was stressing my body out and causing it to have flare-ups. The watch actually showed me that my heart rate jumped over 100 beats a minute well before I could feel it and notice it. And so after heart rate monitoring now for 2 years, I think, I can actually feel it now. Like I can tell. I couldn't tell before. Now I can tell when it's coming on. So I actually don't use the alarm on my watch anymore because I don't need it. I can tell when my heart rate is up, and it's more of a decision I make now than a surprise or anything like that. So that was such a huge help. That was, things I had no clue were hurting me. And that really helped me fine-tune my pacing so that I stopped always crashing. It really helps you learn to listen to your body and understand it better. I cannot recommend heart rate monitoring enough. The second thing that was surprisingly huge when it came to pacing was just being super blunt and honest with people around me about needing to be careful with my energy. And this meant literally giving them permission to tell me when we're talking on the phone or hanging out face to face if I start looking tired, if I start slurring my words or mixing up my sentences or acting weird, basically, they have permission to tell me and to stop the conversation.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
If we're on the phone, my Nana will be like, you sound tired. We're going to be done now. And I'm like, okay. Like, there's no malice behind it. There's no negativity. You know, sometimes you're sad that you're ending the conversation, but when you're, and yes, I do get to I'm at the point where a phone call puts me down with a flare. So I got to be careful. I can only do about 10 or 15 minutes. But having her do that in case I don't catch it, having your friend do that in case you don't notice yourself because you're having too much fun or something talking to them, that is amazingly helpful, you guys. Amazingly helpful. It sounds weird to ask them to do, and it's a little awkward at first, but once they see how much it helps you and how then you're able to hang out with them longer and longer because you're not flaring from doing it too much, they'll continue to do this. At least my friends have, and family. Yeah, that's the hard thing is like the brain fog you get can make you zone out and just not notice that you're overdoing it. And so yeah, having someone else around to point it out to you, really helpful. Amazingly helpful.
I know it's a weird thought, but it's true.
Don't let your embarrassment mess with your health. Like, who cares? Who cares? Seriously, if you get bad enough, you're not going to be able to wipe your own butt eventually. So what would you rather do? Would you rather be having someone wipe your butt in the future because you couldn't just ask someone to tell you you're looking a little tired, you're slurring, that kind of thing?
Can you believe she said that?
Come on. It's not a hard decision when you realize where you're making yourself head in the future. Yeah, it's so messed up too. Like, the worse you get, the more you zone out, the less you notice when you're overdoing it. Like, what the heck? Is meCFS a curse from the devil? I'm serious. This whole thing is evil. If anything was a curse, this is a curse. I don't know. Whatever.
It's the devil!
The third thing that helped me a ton with pacing might seem a little dumb to you at first, because I'm sure you've heard it before, but this was probably the hardest thing for me to give in and start doing in my life. Look, okay, you need to have a strict daily routine and one that life doesn't mess with. Yeah. You've heard it a ton of times. Everybody says that. Guess why? There's a reason we all say it. You need to do it. You brush your teeth at the same time every day. You do a chore at the same time every day. I mean, heck, after a while, when you get into it, you start to have your bathroom breaks at the same time every day. Look, the reason for this is because when your body is less stressed, it heals. So when your body knows what to expect every day, it can heal. And it doesn't have to be the same chore every day. Okay, 2 o'clock, I do a chore for half an hour or 15 minutes or whatever you can handle. Well, that one day the chore can be doing the dishes. Next day it can be doing the laundry. The next day it can be folding the laundry. The day after that it can be, I don't know, whatever. But that same time every day, you do a chore. This really helps your body to heal. It cannot be ignored. It cannot be ignored. I literally made so many excuses not to have a routine, and I put it off until I was like super severe, and I'm such an idiot. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I did that. There's so many things I ignored, you guys, until it was like the point of no return. I feel like at this point, I'm better than I was. I've gotten out of being completely bedridden twice in my life now, but I'm not a ton better from it. I'm not that far away from it. And that's my own fault for ignoring this stuff. Or I did it once and then I was like, oh, I'm better now. I cannot do that anymore. No. You go back to the thing that made you crash in the first place, you're gonna crash again.
That's classic self-sabotage.
You live and you learn. It's so simple too. I don't know why it's so hard for us, especially in America, the go, go, go. oh, it's boring to have a life all planned out. Well, no, if you literally can have a life, it's worth it. It's worth it. I can't work. I can't go out and see friends. I can't talk more than 15 minutes on the phone. I can't do much of anything anymore.
But you're so good looking.
Again, I look fabulous with my YouTube magic, but it's a lie. I am super severe. I've been trying to be more open about that in the community posts I make.
Life is scary.
And I guess the last big thing that helped me with pacing was also kind of hard to give in and finally do. Especially since when I first got sick, I was a dancer, a bodybuilder, and I was working my dream job in vascular interventional radiology, where I had clawed my way up the ladder in record time. But seriously, the key to finding your baseline level and successfully pace is you have to give up all your extra activities and exercise until you figure out your baseline. You just have to. Figuring out your baseline is probably the most important thing you need to do with pacing. It is the most important. Your baseline of where you can do things and not crash. That line before you start crashing, you need to figure that out. And until you figure that out, you're screwed. So if you're still trying to keep up your hobbies, keep going and doing things, keep doing all those chores, keep working that job plus overtime, you're gonna screw yourself over. That's what I did.
Like baseline, assume I know nothing.
You need to stop, take a long couple months break, use all that vacation you got saved up, use everything you can. Stop all the extra activities. I don't care if you're bored. Figure out your baseline. That is so important. It's like, okay, have you done an elimination diet? It's kind of like that. First, you eliminate all the foods, and then you add back one at a time to see what you react to. That's kind of how you find your baseline. You eliminate all the extras, except your base living, and wait till you heal from whatever flare you're in.
Hey, that'll be our baseline.
And then once you've healed from the flare, start adding a thing in a day. Every other day, probably, actually. Since some things can take 48 hours to appear. So every 2 days, add in a thing you were doing before. Add in a thing. See if you react to it. Is this helping you? Maybe you should like and subscribe.
Okay, well, there is good news. Okay.
And come to think of it, the signs that your pacing is working is actually really important too. So let's go over that as well. They can also be subtle. So start looking for small changes in your life when you've started pacing, like you need less naps in a day. That's a very good sign. You have less crashing every week that eventually turns into no crashing. Very good sign. Things that before were like exhausting and like you felt like the world, the gravity dragging you down, suddenly aren't. Good sign. A big sign is when you start getting less brain fog, you're more clear-headed throughout the day. And I'm sure you all know those rare, random, like energy bursts where you feel like you're normal again. Don't give into those. Don't give into those. Okay, it's a trick. It's a trick. It's a trick. Stick to your routine. But it's a really good sign. It is a really good sign if you get that. If you get that and you stick to your routine and you don't overdo it and make yourself crash, you will actually start getting better.
Preaching to the choir, Kenneth.
So it's a really good sign unless you fall for the trick and then it's a bad thing. Weird, right? I know, whatever. Another good sign is when you start learning to feel yourself overexerting, like with the heart rate monitoring. It took me about a year, and after a year, now I don't need the watch alarm. I know myself when it's up there. I can just tell. Knowing your body is probably like the most helpful and important part of pacing. And okay, when you've figured out a fair amount of your body's rules.
Aw, I hate rules. This sucks.
My body has some weird rules, okay? Like I can't have my arms above my head. If I put my arms above my head, instant exertion. Doesn't matter what it is I'm doing. If I have my arms over my head for more than 30 seconds, I will crash for the next week. Why? I have no clue why this started. I have no clue. Doctors can't figure it out. I've had all these tests, MRIs, MRAs, tons of things. Nobody knows.
I'm a mystery.
Whatever. But it's a rule for my body that I now know. So I don't push it. And if I do push it, I know I'm going to crash for 2 weeks. So I kind of plan that in. So kind of like that other rule when you have the random energy burst. Similar to that, the best and at the same time worst sign that your pacing is going well is when you're bored. Hint, it's because you have extra energy. Yay! But again, just like before, don't give in. You're bored. Don't give in. Stick to your routine. Stick to your pacing.
I don't wanna.
This is the part where most of us say, I just do it anyways, screw it, whatever. And then we ruin all of our hard work pacing and have another flare up and set ourselves back. No, you guys. Stick to the routine. No, screw it and have fun. No. Big picture. Big picture here, guys. Small moment, big picture. Big picture beats small moment, okay? Stick to the routine. Once you start having that happen where you have these energy bursts, where you're bored, whatever, you can slowly start adding more to that routine, but test it out slowly. Add something else every other day. See if it makes you flare. If it doesn't, you've progressed. You progressed. You can do it. You're doing it. Like, yeah, that's amazing. But don't let it trick you. Because sometimes you may have only progressed this much, but you feel like you could do this much. And if you do that much, you set yourself back. Don't lose that precious energy that you've restored, okay?
I can do this. I can do this. I can do this.
And check out these videos for more help. Thanks so much for watching, and keep on surviving, my friends.